Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video I'm going to talk about Saturn transit in Pisces and its impact on Gemini rising. Anybody with a Gemini rising, Gemini ascendant, Gemini lagna or moon in Gemini. This video is applicable for all of them. So guys, I've shared my email address and I've shared my phone number in the description of this video. Anybody of you wants connect with me for reading their chart, you can connect with me on my WhatsApp or on my email address. So this transit happened on the 29th of March 2025. So before I talk about what is coming your way, Gemini people, let me also give you a brief about what happened 2.5 years prior to 29th of March 2025. So during then, Saturn was transiting in your ninth house, and Saturn is the lord of your ninth house. Okay, so in terms of luck, that was a good phase. Like you received a lot of support from luck. However, in terms of your gains, in terms of your social network, in terms of your professional network, in terms of your desires, you faced issues. In terms of your relationship with your siblings. Okay, in terms of your communication, in terms of your writing, you faced issues in the last 2.5 years. In terms of your disputes at work, conflicts at work, in terms of your health, in terms of the health of your father, you had faced issues in the last 2.5 years. Now, let's talk about, what is happening after 29th of March 2025. Guys, this is going to be an excellent time for you people. So I would request you to watch this video till the end, because this video will give you little insights about, what is on your way in the next 2.5 years, starting from 29th of March 2025. So Saturn is a very important planet for you people, because it lords your 8th house as well as your 9th house. 9th house is the house of your luck. So Saturn is now transiting in your 10th house of profession, and that house is owned by Jupiter. And Saturn has excellent relations. I mean, Saturn has neutral relations with Jupiter. Saturn would be aspecting your 12th house, your 4th house, and your 7th house. Now I'm going to talk on each things one by one. So Saturn, transiting in your house of profession. So guys, one thing you have to understand, Saturn has a character trait, which is, the house where it sits or it transits. It gives expansion, it gives growth in that area. However, the house where it aspects, it gives little bit of problems. It brings problems in that area. So what is happening when Saturn is now transiting in your 10th house of profession? So the first thing is Saturn being a lord of 9th house, which is the house of your luck, which is the house of your destiny. The lord of 9th transiting in the house of 10th, which means you would receive a lot of support from luck in terms of your profession. You would see a lot of help from Saturn. You would take a step and Saturn would take you 10 steps ahead in terms of your luck. So luck wise, you're completely protected, which means people with Gemini people, who are out of job or who are not currently in the job, either they would have got a job after 29th of March, or very soon they would get a good job, with all very good money and with all the very good perks, all the, everything else other than money. So you would get very soon you would get a very good job. Okay, people who are already in a job, they would see promotion happening, they would see raise in money happening, they would see your situation at work becoming very strong, very powerful. Your professional image will improve, your power at work would improve. Okay, people who are in a business, they would see expansion in business, they would see expansion in sales, they would see expansion in net profit. They would see growth in business, diversification in business. So in terms of your work, in terms of your profession, guys, you are completely protected. Luck is completely favoring you, and as well as this is an excellent position of Saturn. So there would be a lot of hard work from your side, a lot of discipline around your work. So it's a complete 2.5 years of work. You have, completely protected. Now let's talk about the aspects of Saturn. So Saturn first aspect in the house of 12th house, which is the house of Venus. And Saturn has excellent relations with Venus. So with this aspect, Saturn will protect your 12th house completely. Now, 9th house is the house of long-term travel. 10th house is the house of profession. And 12th house is the house of foreign land. Which means, if you're a student, there is a probability that, you may travel abroad for higher learning. If you are employed somewhere, okay, there is a probability that, you may travel, you may migrate abroad for job. You may migrate abroad for business. 9th house is the house of religion, okay, and 12th house is the house of foreign travel, which means there is a lot of traveling would happen for you people in the next 2.5 years. Traveling for spiritualism, traveling for meditation, traveling for yoga, traveling for self-discovery. So a lot of travel, in regards to spiritualism, spiritual travel is happening in the next 2.5 years. 12th house is also the house of expenditure. However, there would be expenditure in terms of traveling, in terms of when you're going for a higher learning. There would be expenditures in terms of buying a home in the foreign land. There would be expenditures at, in getting married. So, completely protected the 12th house. Now, let's talk about the 4th house. 4th house is the house of your home. It is the house of your emotional, health. It is the house of your mother. It is the house of your vehicles. 4th house belongs to Mercury, and Mercury again has excellent relation with Saturn. So Saturn will completely, protect your 4th house, which means people who are living on rent, they will move into their own house. People, those who are living in a 2 BHK house, they would they would buy, upgrade into a 3 BHK or a 4 BHK. People who are living in a bungalow, they would move into an estate. So, it would be one step ahead of whatever real estate you own, or if you're on rent, you will, own your own real estate in the next 2.5 years. Very strong probability around that. There is a very strong probability around upgrading your vehicle or buying a new vehicle, buying a luxury vehicle. Okay, there is a very strong probability around renovating your home, beautification of your home, buying new furniture in your home. That is also seen from here. Now, the next thing is your relationship with your mother would improve. Okay, the health of your mother would improve. Your emotional health at your home would improve. Now, Saturn next aspect would be on your 7th house. So, what is the 7th house for? 7th house is the house of your marriage. 7th house is the house of your, a partnership business. Some business in partnership, which means people who are single, very high probability. They'll find their, life partner. They'll get married. Two things here. Now, one, it is Saturn who is aspecting the 7th house with a neutral aspect, as well as, even Jupiter from your ascendant is also aspecting the 7th house. So, very high probability of you in the next 2.5 years, if you are single, you would get married. People who are already married, they would see beautiful, relationship. Their relationship will strengthen. There would be a lot of mutual support. So beautiful, times in terms of the marriage. Now, people, those who are wanting to get into a partnership business, excellent time for them. People who are already in a partnership business, they would see growth. They would see expansion. They would see growth in sales. They would see growth in business. Everything related to partnership business. There's a lot of expansion. So now let's talk about, this is mostly about this particular transit, the area this transit is going to impact. Now let's talk about, who gets this impact. Okay, so one, for Gemini people, passing through with Saturn Mahadasha and Saturn Antardasha, sure shot, you would see 100% of these impacts. However, even with the people who are not passing through with Saturn times, they would also see a lot of these impacts, because guys, we need to understand a planet like Saturn, it transits after every 2.5 years. So that's a long period of time. So whatever I am sharing, all Gemini people would see the impact of this particular, transit. These are the areas, where you would see the impact. The only condition is that, we are also have to see the position of position of Saturn in your natal chart. That is one thing which we have to see. And otherwise, it's a beautiful time, guys. Excellent time ahead. Excellent 2.5 years ahead. So all the best for this particular transit, and you have all my, just make the best out of it, guys. So that's all what I wanted to share, guys. If you like this video, I would request you to press the bell notification, to press the subscription, and to also, add a comment, because your comment really validates my effort. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for your time, and you have a great evening. Thank you.